आज हम बात करेंगे एक्सपेक्टेशंस फ्रॉम बजट 2023. There are two major concerns of every Indian nowadays: rising of inflation and job loss. These are major concerns, and the survey is done by a company. There is it's a world's leading marketing data and analytics company, Kantar, that has released findings for the union budget survey, and the survey maps consumer sentiments and expectations from union budget 2023. According to survey, country is cautiously optimistic due to ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, an expected slowdown in Europe and US, and 9 Indian states heading into assembly polls in 2023. So, it is these are the major concerns of Indians in this survey. Now, we look some key findings from this survey. 55% Indians want to focus on health care in 2023 budget. However, that number was 66% in the previous budget 2022. 50% believe that Indian economy will grow in 2023, but 31% people they feel that there will be slowdown, and the non-metro cities 54% are more optimistic as compared to metros. The economic global slowdown during the resurgence of COVID are the key areas of the worry of Indians, and 3 out of 4 people are worried about rising inflation and want the government to introduce inducive measures to tackle the same. तो 4 में से 3 लोग बिलीव करते हैं कि वरीड हैं, चिंतित हैं कि राइजिंग इन्फ्लेशन इज द बिगेस्ट कंसर्न, एंड द गवर्नमेंट को कुछ इस तरह के मैसिव जो डिसिसिव जो मेजर्स हैं वो लेने चाहिए ताकि इस प्रॉब्लम से छुटकारा मिले. Everyone in 4 Indians is also concerned about the threat of job layoff. This is relatively higher in the afternoon, 32%. Older 36 से 55 years के लोग वो समझते 30%. They are worried about it, and scheduled class 30%. So, what we can say, these are 2 major concerns of Indians nowadays about the price inflation and about the job loss. Now, we will discuss about what the people they think about the income tax slab. Dinesh Kanbar, CEO of the Dhruv Advisors, and also talks about this tax rates and the slabs, and what he feels. He feels that India has to relook income tax threshold limit to of rupees 2.5 lakh, and he emphasized that because if the tax slab will be increasing, what will be happening, the more money will be in hands of people, and if that more money can be used for the consumption purpose, and that money will come back to market, and that will be a kickstart to the economy को धक्का मारने के लिए, उसको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए, that will be helpful. There is we have higher tax rate in our country, that is 30%, and the surcharge, and surcharge effectively takes the rate of 40% tax, that is by adding all these things. Also 30% tax rate to those earning more than 10 lakh to be reduced to 25%. So, those income is 10 lakh rupees and they are paying more than 10 lakh, they are paying 30% tax, so that must be reduced to 20%. So, this is the also the people they expect in this 2023 budget. Other measures could include increasing expectations limit under ETC from 125 to 2 lakh. However, that must be increased from 1.25 to 2.50, and under ATD the benefits or the exemption limit which is in the housing loan, so that must be increased so that taxpayer they may be benefited with it. Now, we will see highlights of key highlights of this report by grant of they conducted the survey, and people they are worried which tax reforms need to be the most important. People they are hoping in this budget: personal tax 64%, corporate tax 12%, goods and services tax 20%, and the transfer 4%. And the one question that was asked was the basic exemption limit applicable was individual to taxpayers was last increased in 2014 2014 में ये बढ़ी थी 2 से 2.5 लाख तक। तो क्या ये एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि गवर्नमेंट को उसको बढ़ाना चाहिए। 78% बिगेस्ट नंबर ऑफ पीपल दे एक्सपेक्ट कि गवर्नमेंट शुड इंक्रीज दिस लिमिट फ्रॉम to 2.5 lakh onwards, and majority of the people they feel that ki personal tax reforms is the need of our, and government must focus on will focus on that they are expecting from this budget. What relief can be provided to individual taxpayers? 68% people believe कि raise deduction limit under section 80C जो अभी currently 1.5 lakh है। 26% they feel that standard deduction that must be increased जो अभी सिर्फ 50,000 रुपये है। स्पेसिफिकली those who are working from home, तो इससे कॉस्ट भी क्या हुई है, कम हुई है इंडस्ट्रीज़ की। Provide for annual leave, travel allowances 3% they believe, and raise deduction limit under section 80D for medical insurance. Currently it is 25,000. So overall what we can say that ki 84% people, 94% people they believe that, they think that, they expect from this budget ki standard deductions or deduction under 80C they are hoping and they are expecting from government, so that must be increased. And this is a long overdue of the people. The government should have to meet this demand in this coming budget 2023. Union budget 23 must encourage public-private partnership to improve research and development agriculture sector. 65% people of our country they are dependent on agriculture. Agriculture providing 56% employment to people, and the people they are hoping that कि जो पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप है वो दैट मस्ट बी, और सम रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट एक्टिविटी दैट मस्ट बी एनहांस्ड इन एग्रीकल्चरल सेक्टर, और मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस दैट मोर एंड मोर क्रॉप मस्ट बी टेकन अंडर इट. हाउएवर government has been largely successful in pushing farm income higher through better minimum support price, but there is a long way to still. So in the union budget, that is the people they are expecting कि GST agrochemicals to be lowered to 12%, so that will helpful to lowering the prices of the agrochemicals, and that will reduce the or ease the burden of the farmers. And there is a focus on research and development industries. Many industry government has done lots of efforts for industries. So same on the same pace the government has to think about the research and development activities in the agriculture sector, so that agriculture can be benefited, and the number of research spending in agriculture, that is only the 0.35%. So it's a very low, and the share of agriculture in the GDP regarding the research spending, so that must be increased. If we have to come a global hub in agriculture, the Union Budget 23-24 can be an opportunity to focus on technology, public-private partnership (PPP), and also developing agri-tech entrepreneurs. So even the youth can also be attracted on the to agriculture sector, and that will be helpful to contribute more and more to export as well as to fulfill the domestic demand of country. So we urge the government to implement a science-based, progressive and productive regulatory regimes for the sector to achieve its true potential and become Atmanirbhar. So till we will not improve agriculture, so the concept of Atmanirbhar that can only be fulfilled if agriculture sector must be improved, and the people they are hoping from this budget 2023. 2023 budget expectation defense sector, the government bears two responsibility for carrying its vision, developing appropriate policy backed by adequate budgetary allocations from the government, and responding to industry's actual implementation. Although number of regulatory policy reforms have been implemented, they can only be stimulated when adequate funding and tax incentives are in place. So defense sector is a very important sector of our country, and the defense sector is expecting from budget 2023, so taken care of for this sector. In the light of the following expectations for the Union Budget 2023, 9.6% inflation is anticipated, Additionally, it includes that transfer of technology are expected to have higher acquisition cost as a result of the increased acceptance of necessity granted of indigenous acquittance categories. In the light of the above mentioned inflationary pressure and the abnormal cost, the industry anticipated significant increase in capital budget allocations. The people, the industrialists, they are expecting from government. The indigenous production to continue indefinitely, self-reliance on the necessary cutting-edge technology must be a primary focus area. Being able to manufacture complete platform, expanding internal research and development research capability and other things are examples for being self-reliant. तो आत्मनिर्भर बनने के लिए, आत्मनिर्भर भारत के लिए, तो such kind of mechanism is required for the research and development activities at the internal level and at the internal research or internal level and other things which can be examples for this Atmanirbhar. Production linked incentive schemes must be introduced for 13 sectors with an outlay of 1.9 crores. They were also later extended to manufacturing of drones and the drone components in September 2021. So, there is a need to increase budgetary allocation to defense and research and development activities. So, such funding that was allocated by government, now the government to enhance the speed of this manufacturing of drones and other drone components which are required and the need of our country in the today's regime, such kind of the situations are prevailing in our country. So, that is need of the defense and research and development activities. In the budget of the 2022, lower corporate tax of 15% is currently available for new manufacturing company under direct tax laws, was extended by 1 year 2024. So, that the defense industry relies heavily on capital. So, it is anticipated that deadline should be extended to least until March 2026, so that industry can be benefited. The goods and services tax is a significant expense for the defense industry. For the purpose of local production of defense platforms, the government should consider granting exemption from the important strategic essential components. So, इनके ऊपर जो डिफेंस के इस तरह के प्रोडक्ट उसके ऊपर भी GST की छूट होनी चाहिए. Budget 2023, India should focus on attracting foreign capital. So, this is the view of because foreign capital is also important for our country, and despite all these hurdles and everything, so the people they are expecting from outside arena. So, government will attract more and more foreign capital in this current budget 2023, because the people they believe that the Indian government has lesser burden of debt. So, such kind of the bond market is a more this area, so in which the foreign investor they can be attracted for that. In terms of inflation, government around the world want to have inflation, but lower levels compared to a historical standard. The government are happy to see inflation levels lies between 4 to 6%. So, this is also one of the major concern the people they are expecting from government. Government will make such a mechanism, take hard steps to control inflation, which is the expectation of government, that is 4 to 6%. Budget 2023 amidst protests, allocation of funds for Manrega. Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme is a very important scheme which provides employment opportunities to the people, and it's the biggest concern that there is a low wages, that the that is high inflation, because there is if low wage, the people they will be in a problem because of high inflation, or there is some regarding the time of work during the work. So, there is some kind of compensation if people they suffer from injuries. So, that must be included, and to assess efficacy of Manrega, the government has taken the SINA committee to study various factors which are like what is the interstate variation interstate variations क्या है wages के अंदर, what are the expenditure trends, and what is the work demand. So, SINA committee is working on it, and that's say because the most basic important thing in Manrega, so wages must be paid in time, and work must be available to the people, so they can work for a longer period. You can see a graph through this. There is a maximum pending wages under Manrega. Karnataka, West Bengal सबसे higher है. Second Uttar Pradesh, then Bihar, then Jharkhand. So the wages are pending for workers. So that must be released. The government will make such a mechanism people are expecting in this budget, so that state release their wages, release wages to workers, so the workers may not suffer. Maximum pending liabilities under this two different states. In this, Andhra Pradesh is at number 1, Karnataka, then Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan and Telangana. So these are states, they have higher facing higher liabilities. So government, people are expecting the government should make such a mechanism, so that such liabilities that can be taken from, and they may be released, or they should have to pay these liabilities, so that more and more money can be used for the states. They must be liable to pay these liabilities, or state or central government to make such a provision in the budget, so the common man, common people, they do not suffer. Some other key areas, government seriously making decolonization of education a reality. So people, they are expecting ki for more allocation, there is a substantial increase in allocation of education in the coming budget. The people, they are expecting from government, and that allocation, that will be free from the decolonization, decolonized entirely. And educational in the budget allocation for education, that will break new ground, and that will be helpful for the development of people. And balancing the budget is also a tough task for government to keep the economy going and the job increasing, and the less about balancing the budgets and more about creating right balance between solving short term pains and investing for long term. So the people, they are expecting the government should bring such ideas, such funding or ideas or such mechanism, so that long term prosperity of the people, and government should invest more in the long term prosperity of people of this country. GST mistakes needs to be rectified in this budget, and because petrol, diesel, they are out of periphery of GST, so they must be included. Budget should provide incentive to the micro, small, medium enterprises for adoption of the digital payments in 3-tier, and government granting status, it's a important sector of our country, travel and tourism sector. The people that are looking forward, the government should grant the status of industry to this, because during the COVID, this sector suffered a lot. It was affected most people, they lost their jobs, most people, they were unemployed in this. So if the government will provide such dividends to or such kind of the help to this sector, or so this sector can pay the more rich dividends to the economy. So therefore, upcoming union budget offers the government to perfect opportunity to do formulating provisions to recover this sector from the losses which this sector is facing from the last couple of years. और इस सेक्टर के लिए emergency credit lending guaranteeing scheme should also be extended to tourism and hospitality, so that sector can be helpful to generate more and more employment opportunity to youths. GST should not be leveled on heart related and other life saving drugs. Budget will be focusing that support growth and innovations in the software industry, how it can be possible, lower logistic cost, lower drawback rates, so that software industry can flourish. And there is already we have made a US-India strategic partnership form. The insurance sector is also expecting from government by expecting to increase the deductions and the ATC, Section 80D limits, that must be increased, or tax-free pensions plans and more union budget 2023, the people are expecting from government. Plastic makers wish lower import duties, that will be beneficial, and that will reduce threshold for the PLI schemes. The government should also reduce startup taxes across the board until the turnover of rupees 10 crores annually. So no GST must be leveled on that. So the more and more they can be attracted to start to start such kind of the startups, and the government should also support by the ease of doing business for the growth of startups. So, Finance Minister Sitharaman ji may focus on skill development and employment opportunities so that more and more youths can be benefited with the skill enhancement, development and employment opportunities. Thank you very much. Please like and subscribe my channel, Thank you very much. Put a comment if you do feel ki more and more areas you are expecting must be in this budget 2023. So, put your comment also. Thank you very much. Professor Santosh.